welcome to The Big Fight. I'm Nidhi Razdan. This week, the Supreme Court extended by 1 month its deadline for a National Citizens Register to be completed by the government in Assam. It will now have to be done by the 31st of August. The exercise, which is taking place only Assam for now, was put on the fast track by the top court in 2015. It aims to weed out illegal immigrants and ensure that only genuine Indian citizens reside in the state. But the process of the NRC, as it's called, has been deeply flawed from the start. The basic premise of putting the onus on individuals to prove their citizenship has been problematic because people have to produce a whole list of documents to show that they're genuine citizens, and not everyone has that paperwork, especially the poor. There are more than 4 million people currently who have been excluded from these draft lists, and they have a right to appeal to foreigner tribunals, as they are called, and then to the courts. If all these options fail, they can actually be jailed in detention centers, and we don't know what exactly happens to them next. Now, some of the examples of those who have been excluded from the NRC process have been very jarring, like a former army man who's currently out on bail trying to prove his citizen after fighting in the Kargil war, no less, and getting a President's Medal. Now, critics say that the BJP has decided to make Muslims the real target. They point out that it is no coincidence that the government has a bill ready which will exclude only Muslim immigrants from neighbouring countries to seek refuge in India. The BJP denies this. The government says that the exercise is only aimed at illegal immigrants and no one else, irrespective of religion. But the story is no longer about Assam. Home Minister Amit Shah declared in Parliament earlier this month that illegal immigrants from every inch of India will be thrown out. So what is the NRC really about? Is it about anti-illegal immigrants or is it anti-Muslim? That's the big debate on The Big Fight. And as always, we will begin with 1 minute opening statements from each of our panelists before we throw open this conversation. And our first panelist today is activist and writer Farah Naqvi. Farah, your 1 minute starts now.
Okay, so I think the BJP is riding a tiger on this one. There is a superimposition of a communal Hindu-Muslim fault line on top of the Assami Bengali fault line, which was the original fault line that was behind the Assam agitation. Now, this incendiary political language of Ghuspetia, termites, infiltrators is clearly targeted at Muslims. Let's not delude ourselves about that. We have to be blind to not see the links between that language and what is happening with the lynch mobs on the street. It is also true that the same rhetoric, the Prime Minister and the Home Minister are making it very clear categorically that from 2014 to 19 that Hindu Bangladeshis are refugees, they are not Ghuspetias and termites, and they will be given a home. The fact, however, is that the combination of these prejudices or incompetence or inhumanity, the way the NRC is rolling out on the ground today, it is forcing lakhs of Bengali Hindus also to stare at imminent statelessness.
Your 1 minute is up, and we'll talk about the points you raised as we open this up. Rajat Sethi is next. He's an advisor to the BJP Chief Minister of Manipur. He's also written a book on the NRC. Rajat, your time starts now.
I think Farah Madam has raised a lot of issues in the 1 minute which I cannot respond to. But my opening remark is that NRC so far has been an exercise monitored by the Supreme Court. It has been one of the most secular exercises. Had there been any questions, the court was free and open to discuss all the nuances of it. The outcome that you mentioned about 4 million people who've been identified and kept out of the NRC, 11% of both the Muslim population and the Hindu population proportionately have been kept out. So people who do not know or haven't gone through the list, haven't gone through the data behind the list would make such sweeping remarks, which is quite sad that they stand at, if you look at the number of Muslim population that is there, that has come in from Bangladesh, is definitely far more exceeding than the Hindu population. So the 11% of Muslim might sound as a big number. But when you compare it with in proportionate sense, it does make sense. That's point number one.
All right. Well, your 1 minute is up, so you'll get a chance to elucidate on the rest of the points. Colin Gonsalves, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court and a human rights activist, also here with us today. Mr. Gonsalves, anti-illegal immigrant or anti-Muslim? How do you see?
I must say I'm less knowledgeable about this issue than my colleagues here who have studied it for ages and ages. But I went recently in a People's Tribunal to Guwahati, and we took testimonies from all across the state. And my friend is right when he says the court is monitoring, but I am frankly very worried by the approach that the Supreme Court is taking. I saw, for example, tribunals without judges, tribunals with lawyers. I saw, for example, adjudication taking place without legal aid. Rickshaw pullers, agricultural workers, casual laborers, not understanding the law, not getting legal aid. So I felt that it was like a travesty of justice to see the way in which the migrants were treated. The treating of migrants in this way is really awful. And at the end of the day, I asked myself and I asked the people in the meeting, what are you going to do? Suppose, for example, you're right, and there are, let's say, 3 million people who are, let's say, migrants who came in after the cut of day. What are you going to do?
Okay.
And nobody has the foggiest idea.
Exactly. So one minute up, Mr. Gonsalves. We've got Shantanu Gupta standing next to you there. He's a supporter of the BJP. He's authored a biography of Mr. Adityanath, the Chief Minister of UP. Shantanu, your 1 minute opening comments.
See, Nidhi, every place has a rules of engagement. Even if it's my house, your house, place of NDTV, you will not allow all the poor people living outside, that there's no AC outside, to come here. We were talking about a nation state like India. So we have rules of engagement. We don't have passport, immigration rule, visas for nothing. So you can't make a country a backyard for any immigrant. And this is a part of old inefficiency. Assam Accord we signed in 1985 because of the inefficiency of Rajiv Gandhi government, that he touched nothing. That a strong government came, it's doing it. We may comment on the process. In fact, government is going to the court saying there are exclusion errors, there are inclusion errors. That's a different thing. But someone who came illegally to your country, that's why the word illegal is very important. They came illegally to your country. What can happen to it? That's a second debate. Because we can't do anything with it, so let's allow all the illegal immigrants to come. That's not an argument. We can think what can we do. There are various processes, but processes will only start first we start counting them. We never even attempted to counting them. Now there's a robust process to count it at least.
All right. Amit Barua, the resident editor of The Hindu, joins us as well. Amit.
Well, I think that the point that Colin Gonsalves raised, really what are we going to do with these people? We are talking about 41 lakh people. And there are a large number of Hindus and large number of Muslims, people from the Barak Valley, people from the Brahmaputra Valley. So one option is to keep them in illegal detention. And as was being mentioned by one of my colleagues here, that is basically this is a Supreme Court-led process. And the Supreme Court has made up its rules as it has gone along. That's where we are. So today you have a situation where just about 150 odd people have been deported in the last few years. Bangladesh says these are not our people, these are not our citizens, this is not our problem. So either we are looking at an indefinite stay in these for these people in detention centers, we withdraw their citizenship rights, they have no voting rights, what are we going to do with them? And linked to this is the Citizenship Amendment Bill, which the government has very clearly said that minorities of different persuasions, all non-Muslims, will be given citizenship.
Okay,
so this is a two-pronged approach which the government has followed.
Let's open this up for debate. And before we do that, I want to first go across to a special guest joining us from Guwahati tonight, and that is Mohammad Sanaullah, who is the retired army officer who has actually found himself excluded from the National Citizens Register and is currently out on bail that was given to him by the Guwahati High Court recently and fighting his case. Sanaullah ji, हमें ये बताइए कि अभी आपकी अगली हियरिंग कब है और ये कितना ये कितना लंबा बैटल चलेगा आपके लिए? ये तो एक अलग तरह की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं. आपको प्रेसिडेंट्स का मेडल मिला था 2014 में, आपने कारगिल में भी लड़ाई लड़ी थी और आप दूसरी तरह की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं.
सर, आपका आवाज थोड़ा कम आ रहा है, मगर जितना भी मैंने सुना जो एनआरसी प्रोसेस है सर, ये तो ठीक है, मगर जो जीनियन इंडियन है उसको माने एक्सक्लूडिंग नहीं होना चाहिए. जो जीनियन इंडियन है इंक्लूडिंग होना चाहिए. और जो प्रोसेसिंग है इसका हम सपोर्ट करते हैं. और जो फॉरेनर बांग्लादेशी है उसको भी डिपोर्टेशन होना चाहिए. तो इसका हम डिनाई नहीं करते, हम सपोर्ट है एनआरसी का माने होना चाहिए और माने अच्छी तरह होना चाहिए. इसका माने स्क्रूटिनाइज डॉक्यूमेंटेशन वगैरह भी अच्छी तरह होना चाहिए. जैसे कोई बाप का अगर इंडियन डिक्लेयर कर दिया, में देखा गया कि उसका लड़का के नाम नहीं है एनआरसी में, तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए सर. इसमें जो बहुत तरह सा कमी पेशी है, जो 40 लाख निकला, 40 लाख का मेरा ख्याल तो इसमें बच्चा भी है जिसको फादर इंडियन है, वो लड़का 5 साल या 10 साल का लड़का, वो मैंने फॉरेनर, उसका नाम एक्सक्लूडिंग कर दिया है, इंक्लूडिंग नहीं किया उसको।
लेकिन सनाउल्लाह जी, आपके लिए सबसे बुरी बात क्या लगी आपको? आपने यहाँ देश के लिए आप आर्मी में रहे हैं, अभी कुछ साल पहले ही आप रिटायर हुए हैं, तो क्या वो सबसे बड़ी मतलब वो सबसे बड़ा झटका लगा आपको कि इतने सालों के बाद, इतना कुछ करने के बाद आपका नाम लिस्ट में नहीं है?
नहीं, ये तो ठीक कहा आपने। मैंने 30 साल में देश का सेवा किया हूँ, तो इसमें मेरा एनआरसी में नाम ना होने की वजह से मेरे को तो झटका लगा, इसमें बहुत तो शौक लगा, इसमें दुख की बात है। मेरे का मैंने कुछ हादसा हुआ तो उसका मैं दोबारा बोलना नहीं चाहता हूँ। जो कानूनी लड़ाई है वो तो लड़ेगा, मैं जस्टिस मिलेगा। और दूसरी बात हो गया कि अपने मैं कारगिल में रहा, कारगिल के में नहीं था, मैं डोडा किश्तवाड़ में डिप्लॉय था उस टाइम में, 98 में मैंने निकल के आ गया था। तो जो भी है, मैं क्रिटिकल से क्रिटिकल सेवा किया, देश का सेवा किया, तो उसका बदौलत में मेरे को जो मिलना है, देश का प्रत्येक जो बहादुरी से मैंने सेवा किया, ईमानदारी से सेवा किया, उसका बदौलत में मेरे को अभी एनआरसी में नाम मैंने इंक्लूड नहीं किया, तो उसके लिए तो मेरे को दुख तो प्रकाश मैंने होता भी है और हर आदमी भी करेगा। तो अभी जो भी मेरा सामने अभी जो आया है उसको अभी मेरे को पक्का न्याय मिलेगा। उसके बाद जो कार्रवाई माने बुद्धिजीवी लोग है, जो वो बहुत बड़े बड़े आयन विधि है, वो लोग का कुछ ना कुछ सजेशन निकलेगा ताकि मेरे को बाद में भी माने एनआरसी का नाम इंक्लूड होने के लिए, खाली मेरे के लिए नहीं है, पूरा देशवासी को बहुत जो
वी होप कि आप अपना केस जीत पाते हैं।
नहीं हुआ तो उनके लिए कोई ना कोई सजेशन पक्का निकलेगा देश।
सनाउल्लाह जी, हमसे बात करने का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। आई होप दैट ही इज एबल to find some justice in all of this. And Rajat, when you see an example like that, and Sanaullah's case of course has been national headlines, but there are so many people like that. And today I don't want to just focus on Assam. I want to focus on the fact that Amit Shah has talked about and the BJP has talked about taking this national. Now, Assam, one understands the exercise started because it's a border state. There has been a problem of illegal immigration for decades. But, how is it the same, let's say in Maharashtra or in Madhya Pradesh or in Chhattisgarh? What is the aim of that exercise then?
See, it's very emotionally touching when you talk about specific anecdotes, but law is law. There was a similar case about the former president's family. Their name was excluded from the NRC. And when the details were fetched out, it came out that they did not submit the documents. See, it's a process. You need to understand it's not like specifically targeted to Sanaullah Dada, that we need to target you and we will do everything within the law to ensure that your name is not there in the NRC. Nothing is like that. You need to understand some massive exercise. There are lots of layers. Again, this judgment is not that if your name is not there in NRC, you'll be immediately deported. You need
but Sanaullah went to jail.
No, you need to understand. So that's not what the NRC issue is. Have other 40 lakh people been sent to jail? Of course, that is not the case.
So there is no empathy. There is no empathy. The fact that he
no,
served
it's not
in the
about
Indian
an empathy
Army
question.
doesn't matter.
I'm saying all the empathies are with him, and therefore the nation is fighting for his behalf. But you need to also understand 2 crore plus Bangladeshis have come inside in the country. During the time, it's right from 1950s till 71. But you also need to understand that when in the Scandinavian countries, merely 10,000, a few thousand people get in, there are civil unrests. Here 2 crore people have come into the country. And they've all come in illegally. Had there been a legal entry point, who would have stopped them from coming in?
To interject.
Yeah, I want to say, you said that President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed's family did not even submit documents. I want to draw your attention to Shantanu Nayak, who until 2018 was the vice president of the Bharatiya Janata Party's Kachar unit. He has not found his place in the NRC. And he is now, wait, let me finish. He is digging up. So he is a highly educated man. He says he submitted all his papers. He has now dug up papers of his Gujarat ancestry from
false. The thing is that
wait, that is not. Let me finish my point. We are being extremely casual in the way we talk about this inclusion, exclusion. Please remember, repeat, 4 million people. India stands today to contribute the largest chunk of statelessness in the world. The UNHCR says there are only 10 million stateless people. This is what we are threatening our people with. The NRC process, the way it is rolling out, is fundamentally inhumane. It is anti-Indian, it is anti-women, it is anti-children.
So you're saying it's not just anti-Muslim?
Half of those
Not just
who
anti-Muslim.
No, it is fundamentally anti-Indian. How can we so casually talk about, are you excluded, are you included? Wait, just let me finish. Citizenship is our most fundamental right. Everything else flows from that. Ye mera ghar hai. My entitlements, my school, my job. Who am I on this planet Earth? This flows. We cannot be so casual in the
Again,
manner in
this is not
which
an emotive
we are
exercise if you're doing here. You
including
need to
and excluding
understand
people.
where was your heart when the Western Pakistani immigrants who had come to Jammu and Kashmir and the Jammu and Kashmir State Assembly did not allow them citizenship. They are still disenfranchised
This
and
is
they still
classic
cannot
whataboutery.
No,
I
it's
am
not
not
what and
going to
whataboutery. You've been
whataboutery.
trying to always corner people around whataboutery, but you yourself have been trying to put a communal color to the whole exercise. But you need to understand this has been, as far as possible, has been a very secular exercise. Do not ride on emotions. Even Sanaullah Dada, when he was speaking, he said, I support NRC. No genuine Assamese.
Well, I'm
who,
afraid
you know,
your
I'll give
fellow
you
has
data
said,
because you've been quoting
I
data.
want Assam
Internally
to be
displaced
free.
people.
At this point, I
Nidhi,
am
you need to
100%
see,
sure this
it's
is
an
not a
important-
correct NRC.
So
This
now
is a
I'm speaking.
BJP
Why are you
person.
intervening?
Okay,
This
one
is not
second,
fair.
one
So,
second.
one important
Yeah.
point. World's highest concentration of internally displaced people by UN statistics is in the Northeast. When there has been massive inflow of immigrants coming into the hinterland on the riverine places, they have pushed the local people away.
So that comes to the original question I asked you. I understand
Nidhi,
why
what-
it's being done, let's say, in the Northeast. Why is the BJP talking about extending it to the rest of
And
Because
India?
there are
reversing the
specific
onus,
cases in
the
Karnataka. There are
burden
very
of
specific
proof.
cases in Karnataka of
No, no, no,
thousands of
Amit
people.
Barua.
On this, I want to respond. So in Assam, there's a cutoff date, midnight of March 24th, 1971. In the rest of India, there's no cutoff date. There is a specific situation in Assam by which there was an NRC in 51 and now it is being updated. So really, if any foreigner is in India, the laws apply. If you are without a passport or a visa, you can be immediately taken into detention. You don't need an NRC for that. If somebody is found to be living illegally in this country, you don't need an NRC.
But that's
the larger
precisely
point
why
is,
is
I
this
think the larger
NRC
point
this
is that
June-
there are complete inefficiencies in the way the state behaves. As far as, let's look at rehabilitation of people displaced by dams. So this is no exception that in NRC where human beings are involved, all kinds of people are being excluded. Many people don't know what documents they're supposed to come up with. And the fact is, a lot of people in Assam, as Sanaullah ji was pointing out, support this process. Because a lot of people in Assam, they feel threatened by that, they feel their identity is threatened. Because you have to understand that this is a state with major ethnic fault lines. We have seen in 1983 what happened in Nelli and Gauhpur. Hundreds of innocents were massacred. This is a state which is very sensitive. There is support for this process. But at the end of the day, I think the real question mark is that is this process fair? And has anybody in the even the Supreme Court thought what is going to happen to these people? That is really the question.
I am asking a more fundamental question then, beyond Assam. What happens, Colin Gonsalves, if you take this entire exercise to the rest of India, which is what, as I keep saying, the BJP is talking about now? The Home Minister said it in Parliament. He said, we will get rid of illegal immigrants from every inch of India. So what are the implications of that?
Well, you don't even need the BJP to take it to every state, because I hear rumblings in the Northeast where groups in the Northeast are starting their own NRC. So the kind of fission in society, the kind of splitting in society that is taking place today in Assam and is spreading right across the Northeast and different parts of the country is something that will actually undermine India's strength and unity and secularism. Now, question is, BJP won a fantastic mandate. BJP, nobody can question you. You control the country. Why do you need, when you're so strong in the country, to weaken the country by splitting? and creating contentious issues. Now's the time for Amit Shah actually to sit back and say, I'll heal the country, I'll make it better. But instead of which, you find a very aggressive, very, division-creating approach of the party, which I can't understand. I agree with Rajat when he said so many people have come in. But go a little step further. They came in over 50, 55 years. Governments were there, all kinds of political governments. I think the BJP must have been a government there at some time, Congress and all that. You allow these people to come in virtually. For 50 years you kept silent, and now after 50 years you turn around and say, you're responsible for being here. Now it's too late. Mistakes have been made. Mistakes have been made by governments who are in power today. It is too late now to turn around and say to people who are married, with children, with grandchildren, too late in the day to say, now I'm going to put a chopper on you that you're illegal and I'm going to kick you out.
Let me ask Shantanu about that. The bigger point Colin Gonsalves was raising, that why is this such a big agenda, you think, for the BJP despite its huge majority?
See, I'm saying this argument sounds very, very, very vague. That if something has not happened for 50 years, let not it happen again. Then you say, why to make toilets? Because we never made toilets in India. Triple talaq.
This is a humanitarian issue.
Any problem which is happening, life and death. Any problem which is happening, if infiltration is happening in the country, let it happen.
It's not the same thing.
It's exactly the same. We have acts. So rather you appeal the act. There's no Foreigners Act. Anybody can walk in, walk out. No visa, no immigration. Remove the airports. No immigration. He's almost telling that. So if some mistake has happened 50 years back, so what time will decide? If it's 40 years back, it's fine. If 30 years back, it's fine. What kind of logic is this? Because it happened 50 years back, let's not correct it. Now there is a government which wants to take even the political risk. Do you think BJP doesn't have a political risk? There are 30 lakh Hindus in it. If you consider BJP as a Hindu party,
there are no figures on this. There is no official data on the how many Hindus and Muslims.
So let's be estimates that we are hearing.
There is not official data.
NRC is a public list. You can, of
yeah,
course,
but
you can go.
Have you counted how many million Hindus and how many Muslims?
The chairman of the NRC has put in the numbers. He has come out with the numbers. You should do the research.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
There is no official data.
I said 11%.
By the way, we are also saying that what we know anecdotally is that there are both Hindus and Muslims in that list. But it is the citizen.
Data. There's a specific number put into
it. It is the Citizenship Amendment Bill, Shantanu, which is it is the Citizenship Amendment Bill which has come at the same time, which is what Amit pointed out, which has raised a question.
These two have to be seen in tandem.
Yes, because
in the government's point of view,
you have two things. You have the NRC and then you have the Citizenship Amendment Bill, which basically says minorities, except Muslims from neighboring countries, can take refuge in India. There are persecuted.
I'm not a lawyer.
There are Muslims also who are persecuted in our neighborhood, in Pakistan, for example. So that is why the question that has been raised is it essentially to target Muslims? If you're talking about taking it out of the Northeast, is it essentially to target Muslims?
Nidhi, I want to take this
I just want to ask Shantanu, then Amit. Yes.
See, as per multiple estimates, the 2 crore people came, they all not settled in Assam.
This figure is actually, no, but this figure has been debunked by the NRC. This 2 crore has been debunked by the NRC. We have now 40, we have actually a figure. No, I want to say people may say many figures, but now we have a figure at least. In Assam, people used to say 2 crores, 3 crores, now we have a figure.
Karnataka, various other places. So what's the problem? If we want to at one point take a stock and point out all the citizens and non-citizens and clean it out, what's the problem?
I'm asking you about bringing the Citizenship Amendment Bill.
I tell you, Colin is a lawyer. I just want to make a small point. This is not only about Muslims. It is about the constitution guaranteeing equality. We have never granted citizenship or taken it away on the basis of religion. That is why our constitution stands different from the rest in South Asia.
No, but isn't the Citizenship Amendment Bill actually doing that? That's why I'm asking Shantanu.
My name is Shantanu.
Okay, let him finish. Just let him finish and then I'll come to you. Yeah.
NRC and Citizen Amendment Bill are a separate exercise. NRC is done, the recounting of NRC is done in Assam because of a long protest by ASU, and 1985 was guaranteed. Finally, a government is doing it. So that's the inefficiency of Rajiv Gandhi government. There is inefficiency of Nehru government, which if you know Nehru Liaquat Pact, in fact you can say that the birth of BJP is because of that. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee came out of the government because of that, because Nehru was cold eye. Okay, whatever keep happening of Hindus and Sikhs in Bangladesh, let it be.
The point is that bill will essentially only allow.
it becomes a natural state.
Every religion except
Since then-
Muslims who are persecuted in the neighborhood. So anyone who's a Hindu, Jain, Parsi, Christian, etc. can come and take refuge in India. Are Muslims not being persecuted in
Pakistan and Bangladesh?
Yes.
Pakistan
You
and
don't know
Bangladesh?
what is happening to the
Based on religion,
Ahmadiyas?
based on religion.
The Ahmadiyas in Pakistan?
See,
They
Because
don't.
partition was created
on
on
the basis of
religious
the religion.
lines.
So?
Because of course
But we
that's
are a secular country.
No, you need to
But
understand.
India is a secular
See, please
country.
understand.
Are
I'll
we-
just,
we are
okay,
not- we are not the
secular.
Hindu Republic of
Let me
India.
quote.
Not
in
yet.
1950, Pandit Nehru.
Taslima
Please,
Nasreen
let
will
me-
not get citizenship on this basis.
No, that's not true.
I mean,
that's,
I'm saying by the
that's
citizenship
absolutely not true.
amendment
She is
bill
with
that
legal
was passed,
documents. She
she
is
will
with
not
legal
get
documents.
citizenship.
That's a
Because
bizarre
she is a
argument.
Muslim
So
from
let me
Bangladesh.
come up with a very
By
important
justifying
point.
this,
Very
One second,
first-
Rajat.
Right to asylum and she got a formal
The
asylum.
difference
That's
between
different.
on partition,
Let
Rajat,
me
is very
just finish this
simple.
point, Nidhi, and I'll
We
take
are
your
not
question.
like the Islamic. We are not the Hindu
I'll come to
Republic
that
of
point.
India.
Then
Yeah.
you need to get into the genesis of partition, and there are layers and layers of it. And let me tell you, in 1950, when these same questions were being discussed in the parliament, 1950 there was this act which was brought in, which is called Expulsion of Immigrants from Assam Act 1950. Why is it important? Because it is the first time when Muslim immigrants and Hindu immigrants were differentiated by Jawaharlal Nehru. What he said, for the first time, he explicitly mentioned that we need to protect the Bengali Hindu migrants who have entered from the state of East Pakistan. It is said, and I quote, to any person who on account of civil disturbances or the fear of such disturbance in any area now forming part of Pakistan has been displaced from or has left his place of residence in such area and who has subsequently been residing in Assam. This was the first official differentiation between the economic migrants and those who've been politically and religiously persecuted in the then Pakistan. So this is where the first genesis came in for both the citizenship bill and therefore the citizenship
Yes,
bill
but
was
today
formed
we
in
know that the
1955.
Ahmadiyas are persecuted in
nothing.
Pakistan.
See,
We know
you need
that.
to, you should have said
No, nothing.
please let me point out.
Can I
Then
step
why
in here?
even in a small colony you can say that half of the population is persecuted, the other half is not? Where do you draw the line? The line is partition.
I'm saying
You
The
draw-
partition
no,
is
the
Citizenship
the
Amendment
genesis-
Bill draws it on
partition
religious
is the
lines.
genesis of
Okay,
citizenship
Farah,
bill,
Farah.
and partition was unfortunately done on religious lines and no other lines. Therefore, Pakistanis created their own republic. It's the Islamic Republic of
But
Pakistan.
we are not the Hindu Republic of
no,
India.
absolutely not.
Not
Therefore,
yet.
we are not getting Hindus. We are getting Christians, Parsis, all of
Except
them religiously persecuted. How can Muslims persecute Muslims religiously?
But they are.
No, but
In
how
Pakistan
can
they
no
are.
religion? Those are
What about
sects.
Rohingyas?
Ahmadiyas are sects. Rohingyas are
Rohingyas.
sects. Rohingya,
So-
again,
so they are
Myanmar
persecuted
was not
people.
part
They
of
are persecuted
partition.
people.
Please understand that the lenses used are partition. How do I explain it to you?
Okay,
The citizenship bill in 1955
Is it
was
only
an
to be
outcome
seen?
of partition.
Okay, is it
And
okay?
citizenship
Let
bill
Farah
and then the
answer.
citizenship amendment have both roots in partition. Please understand.
Is this about
that.
having roots in partition and how we're seeing it?
If my co-panelists would stop screaming, Ahmadiyas are persecuted, Shias are persecuted, several groups are being persecuted in Pakistan. I find the Citizenship Amendment Bill and many people in this country, the only benchmark has to be the Constitution, its guarantees, Article 14, Article 21. We do not need to discuss beyond that. The Citizenship Amendment Bill is, as far as I am concerned, and a large proportion of India is concerned, is completely not on the table. All right, keep quiet, Rajat, please. As far as the NRC is concerned, the NRC, we cannot, in this case, the devil does lie in the detail. The manner in which the NRC is rolling out, people's lives are being held hostage to these foreigner tribunals, which are being manned by whom? By whom?
That's the
Do you
point
know
Colin
that
made.
there are lawyers with 7 years of experience who have the fate of Indians in, the Home Minister had said, inch se घुसपैठियों को निकालेंगे. My position is that if even one legitimate Indian citizen is denied citizenship and is denied,
It's a
is
travesty.
facing, that is unacceptable to all Indians. Please remember, we have a lawyer here. Remember Blackstone's premise, the touchstone of criminal law. It's better that 10 men go free than that one innocent is incarcerated. Even one Indian citizen denied their right to be called Indian because of a flawed process. And I cannot separate the purpose of course the NRC emerges from the Assam Accord. We respect that. It must happen. do it in a way in which you have answers. I want to talk about those 6 detention centers that are threatening to mushroom. What is India going to do with these people?
Exactly my next question. So Shantanu, what is India going to do with this? Let's say this 4 million people becomes 2 million people ultimately. Kahan jayenge?
You know, you put this across India, and just one last point, just one point. You know, you spread this across India, your first target, who are they going? India's homeless people. There are 2 million, 3 million
let me
homeless.
ask Shantanu that.
See, Nidhi,
One second. Where will these people go?
Such stories are emotional. We all empathize with it. But running a state is very different. These stories may like go in a movie or a TV channel or in novels. But you're running a state is very different. Running a state is very different.
Say that it's emotional.
Running a state is very different. You have to run it with law and rules. You have to run it with law and rules. Then allow everyone to come. There is a problem of immigration between Africa and Europe, between America and Mexico. Call all of them. Send your Air India flights. Call all of them.
Oh, come on!
And all of us can share 100 of them. We'll pay for them.
Do realize that there are about 100 problems in your statement.
India has a budget. We have to spend on welfare schemes. Now finally the money is going where it has to go, not 1 rupees 15 paisa. So I think now the work is happening.
So where will these people go?
You can't feed everyone.
Do you know? Because there is no plan.
Now you're saying the process.
Where will they be deported to?
Now you're saying
where will they be kept?
Bangladesh is not going to take them back.
So now we agree that NRC as a doctrine is fine. There can be a problem in process. What should happen? We can start debating with Bangladesh. We have never engaged Bangladesh because we never had. We hardly had 1-2 dialogues. They are international courts. We can always access them.
And where will you keep those people till then? In detention centers?
That can be a solution. If you can't handle them, let's not touch it. What kind of logic is that? Because you can't touch a criminal. Let's say they are criminals because illegal immigrants. That let's not do anything.
Are they criminals also?
Let's not do anything.
I don't think that's quite. No. Let's
entering any country.
I just want to make a small point here.
Drop your passport home. Enter into Pakistan. You will be a criminal.
We had a 6-year-old child, Gurpreet, who died in the United States, an Indian child. She had gone with her parents. I want to finish my point. She had gone with her parents looking for better opportunities in the United States of America. A lot of our people are migrants as well. We are not the only illegal migrants. The thing is that economic migration is due to distress on many for many reasons. There are various pulls and pressures. The point I'm making is that this case of Gurpreet, this little child whose parents migrated and who have sought asylum in the United States, would we want her parents to live in long-term detention? I don't think so.
This is the
I think that is
the lawyer in the room has been the most patient.
Well, I want to answer your question. What do you want to do with them? What can you do with them?
Yeah.
I agree with him. Lots of people have come in illegally. Let's presume that. Now they are here 40, 50 years. Now you try and push them back to Bangladesh. Bangladesh says they are not ours. So what happens to illegal migrants? They convert themselves into stateless people. You are governed by the UN Convention on Statelessness. Have they committed a crime? No. Now, can a stateless person be detained? The convention specifically prohibits. Can a stateless person be told you can't send your children to school, to the hospitals, you can't get ration, food and so on? The Stateless Convention specifically prohibits. So now what can you do? You can't keep them in detention. They have to live normal lives. That's what the UN Convention says. Now, India should have thought, and I think the BJP party is full of very astute politicians. They knew that they were there, 2 million, 3 million, whatever. Should they not think before they do the exercise what they're going to do? So in every debate that I go to, the BJP spokesman says, we'll think about that later.
No, but is that partly the Supreme Court's fault? I mean, I don't mean to put you in the dock here,
yes,
because you can't say the word fault for them.
I'll tell you something.
No, but I mean, the Supreme Court decided to speed it up. And perhaps it needed to be done, but shouldn't the Supreme Court then have made sure it was streamlined and done properly?
Well, let me tell you one thing. I have to speak a bit delicately here.
Yes.
If you look at the original Sonowal judgment, it is written in language which is deplorable. Enemy attack, enemy invasion, enemy attack, enemy invasion for migrants, one. And if you look at what is happening now, detention and so on, in one of the last court hearings, they were mobilizing police squads to all this. I can understand if it's an army, if it's a hostile army. It's just economic migrants, millions of economic migrants who've come into the country. Everything that you've done, Look at your foreigners' tribunals without judges. Illegal. Now, if you say it's illegal, like he said, law is law. It's illegal to have a tribunal without a judge. 1 million people should be set free because all those judgments are wrong. If you say you have tribunals without, trained staff and so on and so forth.
Staff, 100 tribunals.
Okay, one more thing.
Yeah.
Tribunals without legal aid. There are 100 judgments of the Supreme Court. If you don't give a poor person legal aid, the judgment against him goes. If you go by law is law, which is what Rajat says, and I believe he's right. If you go by law is law, 1-2 million people will be set free. But it's not law is law in Assam.
Rajat.
See, I appreciate your concerns, Gonzalez, sir. We all need to live as an exercise in the Northeast to understand the palpable insecurities that the region is fraught with. These people who've been local inhabitants, who've been the real inhabitants of Assam, have been rendered minority in their own lands. There is a political connotation to it. And what you said is, what do you do with this? A lot of irresponsible politicians from the opposition said that, will BJP throw them in the sea? These kind of bizarre arguments, they tend to fuel communal riots. But there are a lot of provisions which can be initiated. Few of them could be a limited enfranchisement. This is the case, by the way, for a lot of Hindu migrants who came in from Pakistan and were forced to settle down in Jammu and Kashmir state. And because of the regulations of the state assembly, they could not exercise their franchise in Jammu and Kashmir election. There are more than 1 lakh families. So 4 or 5 lakh people that we're talking about. So similar exercise of limiting the work permit, so cut down on both the economic incentives and the political incentives of these people. This is one initiative. See, you need to also understand that after the entire 1984 riots and the Assam movement, people have been emotionally hurt. 800 people died in the whole thing. They want an emotional closure of sorts. This exercise will provide a very important emotional closure, number one.
So can I ask you
no,
what again?
let me finish 1 second. The thing is that what happens to these people, nobody is going to cross any of the international laws. Those are the clear-cut human rights boundaries which the BJP is very cognizant of. A lot of well-intentioned people are thinking on these lines. What do we do falling short of physical deportation?
There's
because that's
solution.
what the problem
Can I
is.
say one
Then we
solution?
can go in for
Additional
limiting work
solution.
permit. Yeah.
If I can interrupt you just for half a minute.
Please.
Additional solution. Your Citizenship Act allows you to take people who are 30, 40, 50 years here and regularize them as citizens.
Again.
The Chakmas came 40, 50, 60 years ago. Supreme Court has now passed an order regularizing them. Not all. No. Take people with clean records, take people with long settlement here and regularize them.
Is that an option, Rajat?
So that's a very good suggestion. In fact, Chakmas and Hajongs, for 50, 60 years, they've been living in Tripura out of Mizoram, not getting the adequate. It was only the BJP because such news don't get covered. But they were rehabilitated in Mizoram against the will of the Mizoram
Rajat,
government.
I understand what you're saying about, the sort of the need for emotional closure in the Northeast. And that again comes to my point. The Northeast, Assam, have a unique history when it comes to the reason why the NRC is taking place there. The rest of India does not.
No.
Therefore,
Again,
what are the consequences of trying to replicate this
in
Madhya Pradesh or
it's
Bihar?
a fair point.
Or,
let me answer it.
Sure.
The thing is that Bangladesh border has been a very porous border for till very recently. In 2016-17 only the formal sealing of the border happened. So not just the very old ones, the 40, 50-year-old migrants who've come in. There have been a lot of recent migration that has happened, and because of the pressure, the demographic pressure, they could not settle in Assam. So they came all the way to Noida. You would have read a lot of reports which have come in because of riots happening in Noida. Bangladeshi people have revolted, etc. So, and they went to Karnataka as well. And there are reports, 50,000, there are colonies and colonies. If you go find a local maid,
identify these people. What I'm saying is that you don't
have
need
laws
an
in place.
You can simply arrest them and detain them if they are foreigners. What I'm saying is that the governments are not doing their job.
Let it be.
If this is the case, that in Noida 50,000
Bangladeshi. Okay, wait, Farah has a point to make, Rajat.
I think this government and the police
exercise, no government can do it till you have a legal framework to do it.
But you have a legal framework. I think this is the point that Amit is making.
If you don't have any antecedents, tomorrow if somebody comes in without papers, the government.
My point is, why should any government, when you will stand here and claim that you are targeting Muslims, let it be a Supreme Court monitored exercise so that it is free and fair.
Why will it be Supreme Court monitored? I am saying that even here, We are talking a lot about governments. The fact is, Nidhi, that this is completely mandated and led by the Supreme Court. It has nothing to do with the government. Actually, the BJP government at the center and the Sonowal government wanted an extension in NRC publication. They said we want to re-verify in the border districts. And it is Pratik Hajela who said that we have done the re-verification in 27% and we want to push ahead with this. The point I'm making is that in Assam, there are special circumstances, yes.
Yes.
The larger point is, do we have the mechanism of due process to ensure that everybody gets a hearing and not of the kind what has been happening, what Mr. Gonzalez has pointed
Okay, Farah.
Okay. So what is this due process for the rest of India? In nationality determination process, the burden of proof should lie with the state, not with the individual, said UN special rapporteurs specifically about the NRC process in Assam. Now, Rajat's words where he spoke about who the real people of Assam were, he spoke about an emotional closure. I thought he was only speaking about the law, but since he is in the terrain of human beings and human rights, I want to point out that this idea that anybody can finger point at somebody because you speak the wrong language, you worship the wrong God, because you dress differently, you look differently, that burden of proof, is unacceptable.
None of that. Only if you don't have the documents.
Keep quiet, Shantanu.
Only if you don't have the documents.
What documents? India made birth registration compulsory in 1969. Do you know what the UNICEF says is the rate of birth registration in India today? It is 58%. That is abysmal. We do not have a culture of records. What was our literacy rate at the time of 1951?
That's an important
point.
What
was
actually,
our literacy
Shantanu?
rate in 1971?
The fact is we don't have a culture of records.
We do
especially
not.
the poor. I mean, look at what has happened in Assam, for instance,
poor,
during the floods.
Homeless, landless,
people don't have those
daily
documents.
Wage earners do not
It's
have.
true.
And you try and do this. You try and spread this kind of chaos and fear across the rest of India with the onus reversing the burden of proof. Anyone finger points and says you're a foreigner, now prove that you are an Indian with the kind of documentation.
The genuine problems people are facing?
Problem of documentation is always there, and in Assam it's very different. There are various ways to document. At times it's based on the land records, at times on the electoral rolls. There's a long list, but birth certificate is only one of it. How almost 3.5 crores people have produced the documents? They are also come from the same community.
28 of 33
they also come from they all come from the same community. How 3.5 crore people have produced the documents?
There are many who have not also, because they just don't have the documents.
See, that's why there is a process to it. That's why there is a process to it.
There is no process. I mean, Colin Gonzalez, isn't it true also that on the ground, very often the documents that are being asked of those who are coming, there are different documents that are being asked of all the time. People are complaining about that.
Chain of legacy.
Exactly.
Sometimes you
but
cannot.
Sometimes you're asked for this, sometimes you're asked for something else.
A woman has been denied because her birth certificate is in Shillong, and they said we can't accept a Shillong birth certificate. I mean, there is a father who is in. 2 of his sons are out. We have no DNA testing. He says, what do I do with my 2 children? They will have to go to a detention camp. He lives in fear. These real stories are not anecdotes.
Because Colin's just been there.
These are Indians.
Yeah, Colin.
When we did our People's Tribunal, headed by a Supreme Court judge, and we took the testimony of people, we asked them, because this is the point that is raised, legitimately raised, it's based on documents. But when we looked at the people who came, they were people in tatters. I can't imagine poorer people than those coming to the tribunal. I can't imagine how they reached. And all of them had a common tale of documents that were destroyed, documents that were washed away in floods and so on, and they're stuck now. We came across middle-class people, educated people who were running to their parents to find if they had a particular docket. We had all kinds. We had a professor with us who was summoned that because of your lack of documentation, you are suspected to be a foreigner, and you had to go and pitiably beg that he is not a foreigner. So documentation is actually a very fatal defect in this whole thing, particularly when it comes to poor people. Not me or him. We are not bothered. We'll have document. But poor people, a rickshaw puller will have documents. Agricultural worker will have documents.
Rajat?
Millions
Isn't
didn't
that
have
a genuine
documents.
problem?
This is why I
and the
plead.
onus of proof. The onus of proof.
Please,
please address that as well.
why, Nidhi ji, why I say is that we should leave Delhi studios and travel. Okay, and go to the
He's just been
hinterlands.
there.
No, that's what I'm saying. There are more nuances to it. He was sitting with on a Supreme Court tribunal, I suppose, and then you were going and talking to people. See, citizenship question is not a recent question in Assam. Documentation right from 1950s have been physically provided. It's been one of the most important asset for any Assamese. They have kept it, secured it, and in spite of that, that's not the only thing that the NRC process is so cumbersome. Do you know the amount of codes of lines of codes that have been put in?
Almost
It's
20 different softwares.
Yeah, there have been softwares and softwares. You know what, Nidhi, I'll just tell you, family trees are drawn. If you don't have a paper, fair enough. You don't have to worry about it. There are family trees. You need to point at a person that he is my brother or sister. You are registered into the system. Prima facie, you are no.
There are people
see,
from
no,
the same
see,
family
those are
who
anecdotes.
who
Those are
divided.
anecdotes, Nidhi.
Anecdotes,
Those will be corrected.
those are the real stories. Those are the real
Those
stories.
will be corrected. You like to pick anecdotes.
Let him-
Anecdotes do not
Farah,
define
let him
3.5 crore people
It's
who
not
got.
an anecdote
No,
since
please
we've
understand.
just one
Let me
second.
finish.
In
No,
one
very
family,
my point
I believe
is-
there were
Rajat, very
twins.
humbly.
My
One
point
twin
is-
was in the list,
आप
one
जितने
twin
भी
was
परिवारों
not.
का लेकर आएंगे
How do we
केस,
explain
नहीं,
that?
नहीं, नहीं,
family
सुनो,
trees
सुनो,
बनाए
सुनो।
गए
नहीं,
हैं
नहीं, नहीं।
वो सॉफ्टवेयर का काम ही यही है
अच्छा मैं सॉफ्टवेयर का एक क्वेश्चन सेवा केंद्र इन बोनगाईगांव one of the highest rejection rates 32%. Main reason, the barcodes associated with the application receipt numbers had been duplicated and the number of people who were rejected from this seva kendra technology, my friend, is not the manna from heaven.
आपके कानों तक ये बात पड़ी ना, ये चीज ऐसे कई सारे केसेस हैं जो रिड्रेस होंगे. आपने उस बारे में भी सोचा where people have forged documents. There are crores of people who would
I had just
eventually
have time
forge
for last
documents.
comments. Amit Barua, politically, it's clear that having an all-India NRC is a big priority of this government.
Oh my goodness.
What do you see then happening if that is put into place?
I really don't understand this, Nidhi, because in Assam, as I said, there's a cut-off date. I mean, either all of us will have to prove that we are Indian citizens. How did we become? Either
I'm
that's
going
the
to go
process.
look for my birth certificate.
Well,
when
you
I
better
go
look
home.
for it. So if it's going to be across the board, then all of us will have to prove your passport, your class 10 certificate, which is considered your birth certificate in this country. All this will no longer be valid. So the point I'm making is that I don't quite, and I really believe that somebody who comes without a visa or a passport should be dealt with. There are laws of the land. I don't think it matters whether you're a Hindu or a Muslim. The only other point I want to make is that all this that is happening in Assam is happening in a larger context in the country. When we are talking about, if we have to talk about Sabka Vishwas, we have to mean it. And I think that this is a very big country. We have seen what happened in partition. We have seen the bloodshed that took place. My only concern is that there are genuine concerns that Assamese people have. I think we should not underestimate that at all. And it is also an issue, who is an Assamese? How many years are you going to go back? If a Marwadi from Jaipur is sitting in Guwahati and he speaks flawless Assamese, in my view, he is an Assamese. He is an Indian. So the point I'm making is that this culture of hate, if we are going to build up, we are going to have problems. It doesn't matter. There are 23 lakh perhaps Hindus in this NRC process. And as has been pointed out, there are complete flaws in the process, in the way we are doing it. It need not be only on account of bias. It can be on a grounds of sheer inefficiency. And then as Colin Gonsalves pointed out, who are these people going to go to redress for? If advocates are sitting as judges in these tribunals, then this is a farce. And I think that is really my concern, that due process is missing. Problems of people in Assam, people do feel threatened. They are small communities. But today, between 79 and today, there's a major change. People in Assam never migrated to other parts of the country. There were very few people in this, say in Delhi. Today, it's all changed. People from Assam are studying in Pune, they're studying in Bangalore, they're studying in Delhi. So they also have a sense of the larger, great Indian nation.
I think more than anything else, while I think by and large everyone agrees that even if you undertake an exercise like this, it is the process more than anything else that is being questioned.
The Supreme Court here is most important, not the government so much. And I think the Supreme Court
because the Supreme Court, it is happening under their watch, and I think let's hope that they're able to sort of review this process in a little more detail. I'm afraid I'm completely out of time. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us today. I'll continue this conversation with all of you offline. Thanks very much.